Welcome, friends. Welcome to a very special edition of Freeing the Body, Freeing the Soul. I'm your host, Dr. David, the Cutting Edge Doc, and here on Freeing the Body, Freeing the Soul, we do in-depth interviews with individuals that are doing cutting-edge work in the areas of healing, spirituality, and social transformation. I'm very excited about today's show. It's going to be a unique show. I've never done a show like this in about 80 shows, where basically this show is basically a marketing piece. And one of my mentors once said to me, the best marketing is empowering education. So this show is basically a marketing piece. It's designed to create a context so that that will lead to either a powerful sales conversation to help you get clear about whether you want to participate in what we're going to be talking about today, or possibly you might just know from the conversation that you do or you don't want to participate, and whoever gave you this recording or wherever you're seeing it, there will be some information along with it that will tell you if you do want to participate and enroll, or if you do want to have a sales conversation, what are the next steps that you can take. So just to give you a little background about why I'm doing this and who's going to be in the conversation, I'm doing this because the event or the workshop that we're going to be marketing here is something that I'm endorsing wholeheartedly, and I'm actually one of the main players also in this particular workshop. And I feel that strongly about it. So the person that I'm going to be having the conversation with, that I'll be bringing into the conversation, is my dear friend, Maurine Xavier. And Maurine Xavier and I are going to be the two key principal people that will be facilitating the workshop that we're going to be talking about today. So with that as a preamble to the conversation, let me bring my dear friend Maurine Xavier into the conversation. So Maurine, welcome to this very unique edition of Freeing the Body, Freeing the Soul.
It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you for having me.
Okay, so let's start at the beginning and give you a powerful context for the workshop. And Maurine, feel free to chime in anytime. And then, of course, I'll also be giving you formal time to have plenty of time to talk. But if you're inspired at any time, feel free to jump right in. So those of you who are longtime listeners, viewers, followers of my work know that my passion in life can be summed up in one phrase. It actually took me years to come to it, but I'm very comfortable with it now, which is that all of my work, all of my life is about helping myself and other people to free the body and to free the soul, so that our bodies and souls are free to allow the highest, the best, the most glorious, the most joyous, authentic self-expression that's possible. And those of you who know me for a long time know that I do a lot of things and I'm interested in a lot of things, but if you understand that what's driving all of it is my passionate commitment to help myself and other people to free the body and free the soul. And so out of that commitment, one of the things I focus on is helping to free the soul, so that the soul is unencumbered from limited identities, limiting beliefs, and in such a way that the soul can be a personal, focalized point for love and light and purpose to individuate and to be anchored into this world for as long as we're in this world. And there are so many approaches and people and systems that claim to be able to do something like that. Everything from religion to self-help to metaphysics to psychology to Eastern and Western spiritual approaches. And in my experience, most of them really don't deliver on that promise, at least all the way, or if they do, they are paths that can take decades or even lifetimes to realize a level of self-realization and authentic self-expression that doesn't really make it practical in today's world, or at least for the challenges that we're facing today. So over the years, I have honed my way of working and being with myself and being with other people such that we increase the likelihood that while being with me in a special kind of way, that people can break through to another level of self-realization that transforms their relationship to their inner experience and also their everyday world and being in the world. And along that journey, I've had many students, some come, some go, some get a taste of it and then move on. And then there are other people that have greater levels of commitment. Either it's the right time in this lifetime, or their soul is ripe, or there's some kind of alignment. And in that context, I want to introduce Maurine and tell you a little bit about my relationship with Maurine and how she came to be a co-facilitator of the event we're going to be talking about today. By the way, the event we're going to be talking about today is a transformational one-day workshop that's called True Freedom, Living with Passion Beyond the Pressure. So I'm going to say that again. True Freedom, Living with Passion Beyond the Pressure, or as some spiritual traditions talk about it, would be True Freedom, Living with Total Commitment and Total Non-Attachment at the same time, which can seem very paradoxical on first listening, but it actually is a possibility. And so my relationship with Maurine basically started out in a coach, client, student, teacher type of capacity. And, you know, my ultimate goal when I'm working with someone in this transformative process is to not develop followers, but to spawn more leaders, more transformational leaders. And there's quite a fire of purification that's involved in that process. And it's rare to find someone who's ready, willing, and able to go through that fire and to really get to a level where they become trustworthy in their ability and commitment to be of service. And Maurine is one of those people. And Maurine's abilities and sensibilities ripened to the point where a while back I said to Maurine, you know, I think we have some unique potential synergies here. You have a way of speaking to people that I don't, and I have a way of speaking to people that you don't. And I just have this strong sense that we have a synergy and a passion, a mutual passion there, where it's appropriate for us to start to do some work together. And we've explored that, and we're kind of getting our act together in terms of how we work together. And so the latest incarnation of what the fruit of that relationship is what we're talking about today. This one-day workshop called True Freedom, Living with Passion Beyond the Pressure. And so let me at this point turn it over to Maurine and give her a chance to introduce herself to you, because most of the people who might be watching this, or some of the people might know my background a little more than Maurine's, and I want to like bring it up to speed here. So I'm going to turn it over to Maurine and just ask Maurine to be with you and speak with you with the purpose of introducing herself to you in a powerful way. So Maurine, take it away.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. David. Yeah. So the context in which I live now is literally from the living into the teachings that we are intended to give you a high level look at during the workshop True Freedom. My background is I am 57. I am a mother of 2 children, 26 and 24-year-olds. I spent 3 decades in accounting, and I got the taste of having, in 2007, I got the taste of wanting to help people become physically, financially, and emotionally free. And that started and catalyzed a journey I honestly never would have understood or predicted, but it was out of my deep commitment to live into the possibility of helping myself and others become physically, financially, and emotionally free that I'm here today. I've been a student of Dr. David since 2011. And one of the things that he teaches in his work is there's the front of the hand of transformation and there's the back of the hand of transformation. And the front of the hand of transformation is about getting back to the nothingness, having a powerful enough relationship with your thoughts, your beliefs, your limited identities that you know that they are not you, and you can work in a way that nothing really gets in the way. That's what I do for my work now. I'm really passionate about supporting women entrepreneurs that are passionate about the work. For some reason, they struggle with self-doubt or overwhelm or worry about money, and they want to live, they have a high and deep commitment to living a joyous and abundant life. So, and then again, to follow out, then there's the back of the hand of transformation. And the back of the hand of transformation is after you fundamentally get back to the nothingness, have a powerful relationship with the one and the knowing, and inherent faith in knowing that who you are as a being is nothing, then you can act into the world from the place of total commitment and total non-attachment. And I think that is a lot of what I am in the process of doing, literally showing up in my life. My business is now 2.5 years old. It was born out of literally not having any idea what I would be doing. I channel spirit, and we fundamentally share transformational teachings and help people clear patterns that may be getting in the way to them being able to move forward with ease and grace in the world. So that's what I'm moved to stop.
Okay, thanks. So I'm going to ask you some questions and get your take on them, and then I'll put my 2 cents into as if I were answering the question, okay?
Okay.
All right, so what's your best sense of who is right for this workshop? Like, give me sort of like if you were to describe your virtual avatar of the ideal person for this particular one-day workshop. What might you say? Like, who is this for? Who is this workshop for?
This person is eager to be of service in the world. They've already taken a leap of faith in one way or another to get beyond the standard, the way the world works today. And who they are in the world and what they do in the world is intended to make an impact in the world. And for some, and they know that there's something that they don't know. So, and in some cases, they're on the precipice of something big. They've taken a stand for something big, and they keep running into themselves in a way that they don't realize what it is they're running into. And they fundamentally are looking for some answers to some deep-seated questions they have about how to be more free and live more powerfully in their life.
Beautiful. Let me see if I can add anything to that I think would be valuable. I think there's some of the things I'm going to say are implicit in what you said, but I will state them explicitly. I would say the ideal candidate for this workshop would be someone who is willing to come from the place of choosing to be responsible for their life. Victimhood isn't going to cut it here. And by responsibility, I don't mean blame or shame or guilt, but to be open to being a causative agent in their life, and to be open to the possibility that a lot of what we create and allow in our lives we're not consciously aware of, but that doesn't mean we didn't create it or allow it or attract it into our life. And so I think a willingness and ability to take a stand for being responsible is an important aspect of someone that's ripe for this particular workshop. And I think, again, someone who has a passion to be in a certain way, to do a certain thing so that they can have a certain result in the world, who's very committed to that, who they're so passionate about it, and it's so important to them that they're willing to do the deep kind of inquiry and work that's required to be the person that can bring that forth. So someone who I would say is mission driven to one extent or another is also a really good candidate. And I would say the ideal candidate would be someone who's been around the block a little bit in terms of taking a look at themselves in one way or another. You know, many people start either from a self-help track or from a psychology track or from a metaphysics track. And very often in the first 2 or 3 years of being on those track, or a recovery track, very often in the first 2 or 3 years of being on that track, there's the experience of a tremendous amount of movement and motion and growth and aliveness. And very often, sometime around the 3rd year or so of committed participation, if people are honest with themselves, things start to get a little effortful and stuck, and it's not as alive for them as it once was, and yet there's no place from which to objectively view that in a way that gives them access to whatever's needed to break through that. And very often people make up stories about themselves or about the systems they're involved in or their teachers to try to explain why it's not moving as much as it has been in the past. But very often it's simply that the particular structure they're working inside, the model, doesn't allow for further growth and expansion and self-realization. And it's what I'm saying there is very powerful, because this goes on a lot. And people really get into a more, better, different kind of strategy. Well, I just need to do what I'm doing more. I just need to do it better. I just need to tweak it a little differently. But maybe there's just no more cheese down that tunnel. Maybe there's just no possibility of greater possibility given that particular path. And so I'm not saying you have to be a master or anything, but I'm saying it's good if you've been around the block a little bit and are used to the idea of examining yourself. So those are some things I would add to what you said about kind of who is this for. And let's talk about what it is, what it looks like. So I'll talk a little bit about it and then you can add to that. So this is a one-day in-person event. And unlike many other events that Maurine and I will be doing over the years, this one is committed to being done in person, partly because of what Maurine was talking about, that process that we call the front of the hand of transformation, which is the deconstruction of the way you've put yourself together and the way you put your correlated view of the world together, is a very delicate process. And there needs to be real world feedback on many, many levels to be able to guide that properly. And then also, because it's such a radical operation, there's a tremendous amount of synergy when you're going through it with other people who have a similar commitment and a similar passion. And to have that energy together in a room where not only the minds, but the bodies and the cells are actually resonating together like a bunch of grandfather clocks where the pendulums are in sync. There's something about that. So it's an in-person event. Once that, what Maurine was talking about, once that critical mass of realization of who you are beyond thought, beyond structures, beyond limited identities, anchors into the soul, then Maurine and I feel very comfortable doing a large part of our work virtually or partially virtually. But this is in person, so that's important to know. And then also, it's a relatively small group of people. We limit it to 20 people because we want to be able to provide the kind of individualized attention and support. There's basically three main things that, in terms of what the day looks like, there's basically three main things that are happening. So one of the ways that it looks is Maurine or I will be in the front of the room and we'll be sharing ideas and experiences, personal experiences and models, and asking you rhetorical questions to take a look at, like that. And then some of the time we'll be guiding you through either individual or structured meditations or exercises or processes, either within yourself or maybe with one other person or maybe in a triad, that has a very specific purpose and is designed to get you on the playing field, to give you a direct experience of something rather than just talking about it. And then the third way that it looks is there'll be times where you are going to be sharing experiences, asking questions. But it won't be an encounter group. Nobody's going to give you their opinion. That's one of the agreements that we set up to make the space a safe and focused space is that the day's not about my opinion, your opinion, anybody else's opinion. It's a safe and focused space to do a very specific kind of inquiry that allows you to, as we were suggesting, to transform your relationship with your human existence, which is made up of your internal experiences, thoughts, feelings, desires, memories, fantasies, beliefs, points of view, decisions, conclusions, attitudes, moods, and also to transform your relationship to what you would perceive as your outer world, as your being in the world, your ability, your effectiveness in life. So it's all about exploring this realm that most of us don't even know we don't know about it, in such a way that it actually empowers you in the areas of your life that you do know about, which is your relationship to your inner world of experience and your outer world of being with people and things and producing results and things like that. It's a full day. It starts at 9 o'clock in the morning and goes to about 6 o'clock at night, with an hour and a quarter break for a midday meal and a morning break, like a 20-minute morning break and a 20-minute afternoon break. Everybody you're going to be with is going to be 18 years or older. Like I said, it's a very safe space. Nobody's going to touch you without your permission. Nobody's going to be giving you their opinion or 2 cents. It's basically a very compassionate, focused, conscious, structured space for you to be with yourself in a way that would be highly unlikely that you would be with yourself anyway, without this type of focus and guidance. So that's kind of what it is in terms of what it looks like. Maurine, do you want to add anything to what I said about kind of looking at the question of what it is, what it looks like?
I want to add one thing, is we also do a follow-up call. We do an hour and a half Zoom follow-up call 10 days after the event. We haven't, so I'm going to give specifics about the timing of the event. So it's September 14th. It's taking place in Woodside, California, which is about 45 minutes south of San Francisco. And our intention, our commitment, and what happens when you're in this environment is that you literally start becoming and seeing the world from a different space. So we also provide an hour and a half Zoom check-in approximately 10 days after the event to debrief, to share, be in community again, and to give, if it's appropriate, additional support of what may be occurring in the new space of possibility that you're living into.
That's great. So let's talk about what makes this work distinct from what people may be familiar with.
Well, you want me to jump into that?
Sounds like you do want to jump in, so go ahead, and then I'll trail on after you. I was going to talk, but if you're moved, go ahead, and then I'll follow up after you.
Well, for me, what fundamentally makes this work different than the other transformational communities I've been a part of is there's a fundamental context of who we are and what transformation is that I don't see out there actually being talked about and taught in the world. So that is why I'm so passionate about this workshop. And what I see this workshop is about is really giving the participants the view of what the world really can be like, or what it is or isn't possible for you when you are the box of thoughts and experiences and circumstances, and that true freedom is not possible when you, first of all, don't know that you don't even realize that you may be living in the box, and that you actually now have a choice to be and experience and see the world as a possibility that isn't shaped and constrained by the box. So that is a lot of fundamentally what I feel is different about this day, and what is different than what is out there is we're actually going to be giving you in a variety of different ways teachings, experience, and the like about where you have been living that you may or may not realize, and what is necessary and actually required to be free, to live free, to have the possibility of being a passionate person and living beyond the pressure. Because when you are the box, or don't know that there's an option, you're going to be you're going to be stuck in the good, but more, better, different box. You're going to be still in the searching mode and the seeking mode, as if what you're going after, the passion that you're going after, is going to bring you passion, or is going to allow your passion to continue. Whereas who we are and where we teach from is inherent in who you are. And when you're in tune and aligned with who you are as a being, there is a natural flow, there is a natural movement, there is a natural progression that your soul is here to be on. And that is what we are about, setting up the context for, setting up the space for, and actually giving you the opportunity to start seeing and being in a way that you may not have otherwise. There you go. So I'm complete on that one.
Okay. So for me, what really makes this workshop and this space distinct from most of what's out there, almost all of what's out there, is that it's specifically designed to give you access to having some say in the matter, like really, like powerfully, about what you're being. And one of the funny things about opening up that kind of freedom, that true freedom of being, is that you have to first come face to face with what you have been being, either in general or in relation to the thing that you're looking at. And since being is taken for granted by almost everyone in our culture, like something we're stuck with, there's not much examination of what we're being, and you could be even considered a wacko weirdo for even being interested in what we're being. Kind of like common sense might say, what do you mean? What do you mean, what am I being? You know, I'm a human being. And we don't inquire into what is being? What is being for human beings? What has been human being? What have been the options for being human? What new possibilities for being human could there be? What way have we wound up being that we've sort of been thrown to be by just being born into the culture that we were born into? And is that the only possibility of being? And to actually directly discover experientially, oh my God, I've been being that I'm unworthy. Now, it's one thing to read about how important it is to know your worth. It's another thing to have an oh my God realization that what's been driving your life is being that I'm not worthy. And seeing how all of your relationships and how a lot of your voice in the back of your head and even the way you sort through your perceptions is all correlated with being that I'm not worthy. Oh my God. And that your life has been about a strategy to make sure you and other people don't ever have to get in touch with that you're being that you're not worthy, and to see all the new problems that those strategies have created, and to see how that's just built a life that's been very suffocating to the soul. There's not a lot of places you can go to be in such a way that things start to open up for you and give you new possibilities of being, or at least give you access to new possibilities of being. And I want to be very clear, and I know Maurine wants to be very clear with you, that the opening of a possibility of new ways of being is just that. It's just an opening, and there's a whole other very long, ongoing, infinite conversation. There's an infinite game to play from that space of possibility, which is the unfolding of authentic self-expression in life as an individual, in relationships, in groups, in communities, in cultures, planetary-wise, solar system-wise, galactic-wise. It's a very long conversation. And so this one-day event isn't about any details in that conversation, but it lets you know there is that conversation and that possibility for living, to live into something other than the way you were thrown to be and the box that you have been living inside of. And so that's a little bit that's coming through for me to share about what makes this distinct, maybe from some of the other things that you might have done or might have heard about. The last thing that I wanted to bring up, and there'll be plenty of space for you to bring up whatever you want to bring up, Maurine, is to put this workshop in a larger context. And I've hinted at it a little bit, but I want to speak to it head on, is that, and I'm speaking for myself here, but I think I speak quite a bit for Maurine, but Maurine will have a chance to speak for herself here, about why I'm doing this, why I'm doing this one-day workshop, why I'm co-facilitating it, why I'm co-creating it, is not just to be doing these one-day workshops, but these one-day workshops for me are part of a much larger commitment and vision and mission and project. And that is that once there's a critical mass of people that have access to that possibility of authentic being and authentic self-expression, my belief is that there's going to be a subset of those people that have a soul path or an interest or a passion in expressing themselves in a way that includes very in-depth, detailed, powerful training in, for lack of a better phrase, transformational leadership. And so where this is going for me is to generate a critical mass of people out of which will come more advanced trainings, both in the back of the hand and the front of the hand of transformation, ultimately leading to a in-depth, like a year-long type of thing that maybe is in 2 segments, a beginning and an advanced segment, that leads to the possibility of certification by Maurine and I in our way or our mode or our method of transformational leadership. Because when I look at the type of world, the type of community, the type of culture I want to live in, I want my kids to live in, and I use my imagination and I do a thought experiment and I reverse engineer about how that likely came about, what I keep running into is that one of the elements that was likely present was a critical mass of true educators. You know, to educate comes from the word educare, which means to draw out that which is within. Not like education like we think of it today, you know, not like job training, not like indoctrination, but kind of like the opposite, that there's got to be a critical mass of people that are being in such a way and have the skill sets to be able to be with other people in that kind of way as well and propagate some type of a thing that kind of goes viral. And so that's where this fits into the bigger picture for me. And then the other place that it fits into the bigger picture for me, with my expertise as a holistic chiropractor and wellness educator and coach, is that it goes back to what I said at the beginning of the conversation about my passions are freeing the body, freeing the soul. What I've discovered is that as long as we're in a physical body, that first of all, freeing the soul can have an impact, positive impact on freeing the body, but also being able to intelligently interact with the body and to be a good steward of the body can also help to make it easier to free the soul, especially in today's world with all the different toxins we're exposed to and all the different stresses. So another place this is going for me is part of a more comprehensive invitation for people who are really committed to high-level wellness and putting together comprehensive programs for people along those lines as well. So that's how this is fitting in for me in the bigger picture of my own life and my own visions. And just want to invite Maurine to share anything she'd like to share along those lines of how you see this one-day workshop and your commitment to it fitting into a bigger picture for you.
Thank you. So for me, what I see it as is implanting fundamental teachings and truths that is missing from the work I do now. Like, so I'm coaching, I'm on the playing field, we're having massive breaking opens with the women that I work with, and what isn't there is the fundamental groundedness in the world that we live in that we may not know that we live in, and having the direct experience of being with and witnessing those teachings in a group environment. So for me, I've already had that experience of a client that I've been working with for a little over a year. She's already had an experience, a massive shift in who she is as a being, and fundamental breakings open and being able to move forward in her life. And coming to this abbreviated form of this workshop in June allowed her to have a fundamental shift in all areas of her life. She said coming away from this, it was as if all the teachings and the coaching programs that she's already been through and stuff that they talked about and pointed at in the context of the information that we shared, and literally in the relationship that Dr. David and I and who we are as that we are, she came away with, as she said, like all the pieces that were out there, it's as if the puzzle pieces that have all been floating out there somewhere started to come home and come together. And now as she's moving forward in her passion and in her business, she has a more groundedness and being in a context which we can talk about together and relate to together that wasn't there before. So for me, it's about taking what I'm doing now, putting it back, like taking one step back to actually exposing people to the bigger picture of what's possible and seeing where it fits for them and seeing what they see. So that is why I'm passionate about this workshop.
Great. One of the things I'd like to encourage the listeners and the viewers to do is not only to listen to the content of what we're talking about, but also to take a few deep breaths and drop down into their experience of what's present for themselves, the quality of presence of their consciousness right now, the quality of presence of this moment, and to maybe contrast that with their memory of how they usually are experiencing their moment as they go through their day. and just to begin to get a sense of maybe the direction things are moving in for you, beyond the words. The teaching is beyond the words, and the words are like in the old Zen story of the finger pointing at the moon. The words are useful as fingers to point to that which is beyond fingerdom. And as long as you're clear about the distinction between the finger and the moon, we can be a good steward of our fingers, and keep the main thing the main thing. And so, so we're, in a way, this is kind of like teaching, but in a way it's kind of not like teaching, because when most people think about teaching, they think about somebody outside themselves giving them something and now they have it. But this kind of teaching isn't that kind of teaching. This kind of teaching is a way of being with you that allows you to be with yourself in a way that you discover something you didn't know, the knowing of which gives you access to something that was possible all along, but it wasn't possible for you to access it, but it was there as a possibility all along. So it's that kind of education, as I mentioned the word educare, to draw out, to make manifest that which is already existing in the realm of possibility. And I'll kind of end with a metaphor. Is imagine a acorn seed. So in potential, the oak tree completely exists already in the divine design, if you will, of the acorn seed. In fact, if you do a Kirlian photograph of the auric field around an acorn seed, the auric field is in the shape of a mature oak tree. And yet the realization of the oak tree requires some very specific conditions. Certain temperature, certain soil, certain water, certain pH, certain humidity, a certain type of ecosystem. And that gives the acorn seed, if you will, access to its possibility as an oak tree. But none of those things gave the acorn seed the oak tree. Okay? It facilitated the unfoldment or the realization, okay, of the possibility of the oak tree that was there all along. So it's that kind of teaching. And that's why transformation occurs always and only in an instant, because it's giving you access to something that in the realm of possibility has always already been there. And then it's a matter of being a good steward of that new power, of that new possibility, of that new realization. And that's a whole other conversation with many new distinctions, many new skill sets. And that's a long conversation. That's why my vision of the transformational leadership training program is more like a year-long training program. But this is a very powerful day in and of itself, and allows for the possibility of further work as well. So I think I've said what I wanted to say in this recording. I feel good about this recording. I feel like it does give people a little bit of a taste of who we are and a taste of the work and what makes it maybe unique and who it's for and what it looks like and how it fits into maybe a bigger possibility. So in closing, I just want to give you an opportunity to say anything you want to say in closing, and then if you want to say anything specific, you don't have to because we can have other material that surrounds this recording. But if you want to say anything about specific action steps people can take if they want to enroll or if they want to have a further conversation about possibly participating, if you want to say anything about that, feel free to say something about that as well.
So what I would so I actually had a question occur to me that I want to ask you. So what is your picture of the ideal outcome for the person that would be attending our workshop?
You know, I'm not a big picture guy.
Okay.
I don't have a lot of pictures about that, but maybe you could ask me in a different way.
Okay. What do you anticipate would be the outcome for the people who are attending our workshop?
I would say that there's a high likelihood that if people really are on the mat, not when they're there, not thinking about participating, but wholeheartedly participating, that they will have at least one, if not more than one, oh my God moments, as if they were seeing the back of their head, as if they were seeing what they've been being that they didn't know they were being, that's been shaping and constraining their lives in such a way that they'll never get over it. And that they'll have compassion for themselves and other people, and that they will have touched a level of their soul, a level of authenticity, a level of possibility of which they'll never get over.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm just not one of those people that thinks a lot. I'm kind of weird that way. I'm like most people think in a lot of pictures. I don't. I have an ability to have some more kind of direct knowings or to be able to work directly with abstractions, but I know what you mean. Most people.
I wanted people to have because most people think in pictures, and I still think in pictures more than I don't think in pictures.
Did that give you a picture?
I wanted people to have an idea of what they would come away with. It's just something that we haven't really talked to directly in the interview.
So did what I just shared give you a picture?
Yep.
Good. Then it probably gave other people a picture too.
It gave me an excitement about whether, it's for people that want that. It's for people that want to come away with, oh my God, and breaking opens to be able to be in a way that they fundamentally didn't have access to before and see the world from an entirely different viewpoint.
You see, everybody who's listening and watching, this is the value of me partnering with Maurine. Okay? What happened just now, the way she drew me out, because believe me, I can be drawn out for a long time.
Yes, we know that.
Believe me. And so Maurine is great at drawing me out in just the right time for things. So she's a wonderful bridge builder and transformer. And now you see why I just was compelled to partner with Maurine.
It takes two to build this bridge. We're both learning from each other.
And maybe I'm bringing something unique to her party as well.
Oh, well, I wouldn't be here if it weren't for being your student, that's for sure. So specifically what I want to say about action items, again, the event name is True Freedom, Living with Passion Beyond the Pressure. We have the regular price for this workshop is $277. We have an early bird discount for people who register through August 15th. That price is $197. If you look at the comments in this YouTube video, in the comments will be both a link to a Google document that is who this is for and what you'll come away with, as well as testimonials and the link to register.
Do you want to say the date of the event again?
Oh yes, it's Saturday, September 14th in Woodside, California. It's a beautiful location. Just coming to the location in Woodside will be a treat, much less the participating in the workshop. And and my name is Maurine, Maurine, last name Xavier. You can contact me. You can text me via cell phone at 650-280-4378 with any questions or information. You can also find me on Facebook, and there will be lots of information, I'm sure, there on Facebook about how to register or if you want additional information.
And if you want to connect with me, you can call me or text me in the United States at 858-204-3092, or you can email me at david.kamnitzer, that's david.kam as in Mary, N as in Nancy, ITZER @gmail.com. And it's been a real honor and a pleasure and a privilege to be having this conversation, Maurine, with you, and to be co-creating this with you. And I want to thank the viewers and listeners who committedly made it all the way to the end. That's a good indicator that this might be for you. And feel free to share this with other people. And with that, we'll close with love and peace. Bye for now.